Hey guys, what's up? It is Ripe again, back with a mix of Neighbors from Hell and malicious compliance stories. If you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our awesome community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, HOA Gets Taught a Lesson They Will Never Forget. I used to rent a condo in a beautiful beach complex that had an active HOA board. Each unit had at least one parking spot, but most were not garages, just carports. In the front of each spot you were allowed to keep your bikes locked up. The only problem is security was not ideal, so one night a truck drove in, threw a bunch of bikes in the back and drove out past the 24-hour security guard. That was a huge issue in itself, but people could also just walk in and ride bikes out. When I moved in, I heard the issues about bike theft, so I chose to keep my bikes locked up on my first floor patio. I did not think it was an issue since, number 1, my patio faced a wall, and number 2, there was no walkway to go by my place unless you walked on a non-approved dirt path my neighbors and I used to get into our places. At least I did not think it was an issue until the HOA said that per the rules and regulations blah blah blah, I couldn't keep anything on my patio that was not on the approved list of general patio items, aka table, plants, etc. I was on good terms with the owners who passed along the written warnings. They agreed it was fine to keep my bikes there since they would otherwise be stolen, and then I was told I would be fined real American money if I didn't keep my bikes inside or in the carport. And then I went litigious and petty on the HOA. I'm an attorney and I knew I could not be the only person who was not following the rules perfectly. I also knew they could not apply the rules unequally to individuals. So what did I do? If you think I carried the rules around the complex and took photos of every single violation I could find, you are correct. To name just a few of the 15 to 20 really dumb violations I found. First, blue patio umbrella instead of neutral color, photo. Personalized items that were not related to plants, dog statues, wind chimes, personalized college placards in the carports, etc. Photo. Number 3, curtains that were not lined in white facing the road, photo. Gardening tools not inside some type of cabinet, photo. And the piece de résistance, French, another bicycle parked on someone's patio, mother truckin' photo. And then I spent over 2 hours at work printing color copies of every single photo violation, organizing the violations into subsections, creating 4 binders for HOA board members to review, and attended the meeting where I was to be fined. As you can imagine, I was not fined. In fact, I understood there was a discussion on how hard they wanted to push on compliance on these rules. However, I was respectfully asked to place a tarp over my bike so it would be less obvious. I moved out soon after that, and thankfully that was the last I ever dealt with such sophomoric losers. However, I strongly encourage other members of this group to do the same when asked to comply with dumb rules. And yeah guys, I gotta say, one of the things that I really enjoy about living in Thailand is that bike theft is pretty uncommon here. I guess this is simply down to the fact that there are so many motorcycles on the road already, and I suppose in the West they are more of an exception. Even when you sometimes forget your motorcycle key, I would say in 9 out of 10 cases you will be fine. Either way, if you have watched until here, I would really appreciate it if you could post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support my channel. Thank you so much in advance. The next one is titled, Boss abused me for years, I screwed him over and won. So I'm a software engineer at a medium healthcare company, let's call it Arcade Health AH. Well, in the beginning of the pandemic, I started there. The team I was joining had like 5 to 6 offshore people on it before, and now they were dumping all of them for 2 onshore resources to save monetary capital. As such, we had Dingbat, my lead, myself and an older guy named Tim. Dingbat was my lead for the content management side, though I ended up having Angel also be another lead when Grim, Dingbat and I's functional manager, assigned me to another project. After about 6 months, it was apparent I was excelling in my role, but to assert her dominance, Dingbat called me on my personal number and yelled at me. So I tell Grim and he assures me it would be handled. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. Now Grim and Dingbat have worked together almost half a decade and had a positive relationship. Grim came back and said, "It didn't happen." Well, fast forward a month, Dingbat has laid off and instead taken to harassing Tim. Tim was not a software engineer, but he was forced into being one, so Tim had a steep learning curve. So she questioned his intelligence multiple times and finally he had enough. And we had a meeting with Dingbat and Grim to say this is not cool. So Grim has to accept that Dingbat is actually not the person they portray. Well, things simmer down and Dingbat actually gets to be moderately okay to work with. Meanwhile, my project with Angel ramps up and I have less time to devote to Dingbat's project. Well, Dingbat forced me to do her project like I had nothing else going and assigned me an asinine amount of tickets. Angel cannot actually devote much time to the one we have because she is the lone engineer on another in total, so I have Dingbat's project and Angel's project, so I sit down with Grim and explain I have worked 80-hour weeks for a month. And by the way guys, just to quickly interject, what is the most you have ever worked in 1 week? Let me know in the comments, I am really curious. Either way, Grim takes me off Dingbat's project temporarily. He tells Dingbat she can only give me a handful of non-taxing tickets. Dingbat is mad but complies. At the yearly end, where our leads report to our managers, Angel basically gives me a glowing recommendation to get promoted. I created a solution that would indicate the key JSON value are intact for all models. Basically, if these screw up, the entire functionality is broken, so the user wouldn't be able to send data to the server as fields would need to be changed in the code. In total, this was a 2-month effort taking about 80 hours a week on its own. Dingbat calls me incompetent and says I have demonstrated a bad attitude. Mostly though, Dingbat always had negative comments, so after a while, yeah, you get annoyed. So, Dingbat's heavy criticism blocked my promotion that I was promised would come by Grim. Instead, Angel lobbied hard every meeting she could, insert it to make it clear to Grim that I worked hard, had a good attitude and deserved an upgrade. In the end though, Grim and Dingbat were closer friends or whatever. Fast forward 3 months, I am back on Dingbat's project. While I was away, she harassed Tim multiple times every day. She has nitpicked and criticized me at least twice literally every day since the new year when I was put back on the project. So I told Dingbat in a chat that how she acted was completely disrespectful to Tim and I. She didn't do something she was supposed to do, so I didn't know I needed to do a few tickets. Well, she added Grim the next day to the chat. Grim sets up a meeting and I outline what Dingbat has been doing since the start. Grim: "I think you have been really disgruntled since being taken off Angel's project and you're taking it out on Dingbat." Me? No! Dingbat is harassing me every day as a verbal punching bag, has called me twice and cursed at me and creating an overall hostile work environment. None of this is new. Grim: "You need to really see how others perceive you. This attitude comes off as negative." So Grim gets his boss, Cherry. Cherry and Grim put me on a performance plan. In this plan I have to create a survey targeting the issues outlined in this plan and I have to find a new area to work under within 6 months. In that meeting they say, "You should really evaluate how you are seen by our team and decide if you wish to remain at this company and follow this PIP to a T. 1 toe out of place and you're gone." I said, I didn't even think that was really that inappropriate. She brought it to that point anyway. If you look, I gave pretty clear indications not to bring it to that level, but she pressed the issue. Them: "I guess this is an exercise in learning how to speak to others and watch your words." Strike number 1. So Grim really harps on my forced survey. They are targeting as guiding that response, so I just let Grim write it for me. Basically, every survey comes back as this: "OP has a really great attitude, is a pleasure to work with and is never negative at all. They focus on the issue and find a resolution." Strike number 2. Grim and Dingbat pretty much just assume I'm going to be there until the plan is up. They don't talk about my replacement. Meanwhile, I approach the manager of another team we work closely with on Dingbat's team and he did not have something. Yet another team did. Within 2 months, he set me up for an interview with this team. However, my positive reputation preceded me, so I was given the job. I had to put in a notice on my old position with the same company. Again, weird corporate HR rules. Up to this point, Grim just ignored my emails about a possible transition, passes off that I would get another position. Basically, no planning on me leaving for a few months. In my notice period, I had no new tickets, though I set up a system Dingbat claimed she wanted. Well, Dingbat gets all up in arms and just uses the WebEx quote feature for her own words. I said, I'm following the schematics you laid out. You said you wanted to press only a single button. You don't even have to press it if you don't want. Dingbat, I don't care, it's not useful. Grim, Dingbat, why are you fighting this? It is helpful. Dingbat, fine, I will look at it. OP just has never made anything useful for us. They are not even technical. My new job is actually way more technical than she has ever had to be. Grim, just try it, OP. Book the meeting. Dingbat, it has to be a Wednesday because I'm so busy. Me, sends it out for Wednesday. Later on, Grim, can you do it for later or earlier? I have 3 hours of meetings already and this is my only slot of a break. Me, nope, sorry, Dingbat insisted Wednesday and this is the only time I have until I leave. Grim, oh, okay. Cherry hears about it and is pissed. Though she cannot touch me, I am on my notice and I've only done what I was asked, and it went like that for the next 2 weeks. On the way out, my incoming manager was like, why are you wearing so nice clothes into the office? Me, tells the truth, I was told to by Grim whenever we came back. I was told slacks and a solid pilot with a tie. Grim, a week ago, why did I get asked by HR why I was forcing you to wear business casual? Me? Well, I did exactly what you said. I know by their tone he meant it as a guideline, but I followed it to a T. Grim, I got reprimanded for it. Me, I guess this is an exercise in learning how to speak to others and watch our words. Grim, no comment. Strike number 3, I told Tim on my way out that the way Dingbat is running the show is unsustainable, so with my absence entirely, he will be expected to learn more. Keep in mind, Tim is a senior citizen, so none of this is ideal. I hear the anguish in his voice. I told him to see and apply around to another team at the company. Well, that weekend, Tim's wife dies. May she rest in peace, but on his way out Tim mentioned my comments and his wife passing as a reason that Tim has decided to retire. Now, Dingbat has zero help, has a system that basically does Tim's job she was expecting him to use and has to work on 2 other systems for her migration project alone, while she waits 2 to 3 months for the whole corporate bureaucracy to replace us both. Meanwhile, I have a front row seat to see Dingbat's incompetence come back to bite her in the ass. MC revenge is sweet. And the next one is a little bonus story from r/ripe stories posted by user Stacy Rose is me. It is titled Ex-Neighbors Were Arrested and Their Pets Were Removed. For the past year or so, myself and other neighbors have been having issues with this one neighbor that lives on a kitty corner across the street from me. These people are, well, to put it lightly, disgusting. Their house is a mess, their yard looks like a trash heap, and they don't take care of their dogs or cats. These people are also known for stealing from other people's yards, and I have personally caught them trying to steal my lawn chair, but confronted them on the spot. Well, just recently, the police and ASPCA was at these people's home. Finally, myself and other neighbors have been turning these people in for so long because of the way they treat their animals, and finally we get to see them getting removed from these people who don't deserve to have pets. They leave their cats outside at all times no matter the weather, they tie up their dogs outside no matter the weather, and they never give their cats or dogs food or water. My neighbors and I have been feeding these poor pets, and I've been calling and calling, turning them in, but it seemed like nothing would be done. And by the way guys, a little trigger warning for the next part. It is a little bit upsetting if you really love animals. I guess the ASPCA was gathering up as much reports as they could before they could act on anything. From what I heard, the last straw was when they saw evidence that these people have cats and puppies buried under their porch, which makes me sick to my stomach. While the police were there, my neighbors and I got to witness the craziness. These people were arguing with the police, pointing at myself and the other neighbors, basically blaming us for their situation, but the police and the ASPCA were not having any of it. An officer came across the street asking myself and the other neighbors if any of us had food or water for the animals we could spare. I told them that they were free to use my water hose outside, and I went inside and got them a bowl of cat food while my other neighbor got them some dog food. They thanked us and went back to removing the animals and trying to catch all the cats. Some of our neighbors even helped them catch the cats. Poor things were very skinny and very skittish. By the end of the day, these people were charged with animal cruelty and other things. Their house got condemned because of all the dog poop on the floors and I guess other problems too. The landlord is not happy at all and told the police that he's been trying to evict them for a while since they owe on over 6 months rent, but somehow they got away with staying longer due to the pandemic rules. The people were arrested and the police and Board of Health placed big red notes on all the windows and doors stating their house is condemned. The landlord says now he has to have the house torn down and rebuilt, and that is gonna take him some time. He is glad these people are finally gone, and myself and the other neighbors are glad the remaining animals were removed. Our ASPCA in our area is a no-kill shelter, so we know all these cats and dogs will get the vet care they need and find loving homes. These people were released from jail and were told that they only have 1 day to remove what they want from the home, but after that they are not allowed on the property. The landlord changed the locks so they cannot go in whenever they want. Once again guys, trigger warning for the next part. The police arrived one more time to remove the bodies of the dead cats and puppies to bring somewhere as part of their evidence against these people. Myself and my neighbors were told if we see these people again, we should call the police right away. I saw them again last night and had to call the police on them and showed the police my cameras where it shows them walking up and down the road and grabbing a rock from a neighbor's yard to break the windows of their old home. They were again arrested and taken away screaming all the while. From what I learned, they've got many charges against them with a pending court date coming up in the future. They might be receiving jail time too because of how bad these charges are against them. I called the ASPCA to see how the surviving animals are doing, and they told me that they are all adjusting well and seem to be happier now that they have food, water and a clean place to stay. They told me that 3 of the cats are in foster care right now, but the other 5 are still at the shelter because of their health issues and will be heading to foster care as soon as their health is better. 2 of the dogs have already been adopted out and someone called them about adopting one of the black cats too. I donated more food to the ASPCA and got to see some of the cats myself there. I am so glad these animals now have a chance at a better life. The people at the ASPCA were so angry about the conditions these animals were in and are glad there were so many people willing to call them to get the animals removed. They have said that these people are not allowed to have any pets in the future, and if they get caught with pets again, they are gonna be in worse trouble than what they already are in. In the end of all this, 8 cats were removed and 5 dogs were removed. I feel so bad for these poor animals. They deserved so much more than what they got. At least the remaining animals will have a better chance at a better life with loving homes. And yes, Stacy, thank you very much for sharing this story about really absolutely awful neighbors, I gotta say, and I really feel bad for the poor animals. And actually, I first had to look up what ASPCA means, but apparently it is a sort of rescue organization for animals in the United States. And from what we can see in the story, apparently they do a good job. Have you guys ever had any experiences with the ASPCA? Let us know in the comments. And Ripe Stars, unfortunately, we have reached the end of this video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, then I would highly suggest to check out my endless YouTube playlists, which should pop up on the left side of the screen in about 10 or 20 seconds. These playlists should definitely keep you busy, and I would really appreciate if you could listen to them before going to sleep. This would help my channel tremendously. If you still cannot get enough, then please don't forget to check out my Patreon at patreon.com/ripeyoutube for more than 50 exclusive Reddit videos that you won't find on YouTube. Thank you so much in advance, and I hope to see you again tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching.